Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. Getting ready to set up for the MB here this morning, and a lot to talk about. We'll go south of the border. We've got the bluefin tuna news from last night and yesterday. There were some interesting developments. Of course, we're watching the white sea bass situation and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time to set up for the MB. Stay tuned, my
You're
friends.
invited to join us on a reverse 2.5 day trip on board the beautiful Apollo out of 22nd Street Landing, departing June the 11th at 10 a.m. Wow, does that give us incredible range, and returning 7 p.m. on June the 13th. This is going to be a great fish. It's got all kinds of possibilities, from bluefin tuna to white sea bass to halibut and so much more. Friedman Adventures Charters puts you in the fish. Make sure you text us today so you can get on a trip, and you just might catch the fish of your dreams. Friedman Adventures Charter, 657-227-6459.
What a fish! Yeah!
That's amazing.
Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California on this May gray morning. It is great to spend time with each and every one of you, and I can't thank you enough for coming to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. Boy, there's a lot going on. We're going to go south of the border. We'll check on the Independents to see how they're doing on their 8-day trip. They've had a magnificent trip. We'll also check in on the coastal city in Mexico of Ensenada to see if the bluefin or yellows or exactly what is going on down there. We're seeing some pretty good calico bass fishing in a couple of areas. We'll have more on that. And of course, the bluefin tuna bite. What's up with that? Some guys got them and some guys missed. Fish to 235 pounds here recently, and that is mind-boggling. Free dinner when you sign up for a trip? The Freedom, 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. They've got a great deal for you. I'll have details on that. We'll check in on the Channel Islands. What about the jetty being closed by lifeguards up there in El Segundo, California? Is that the real deal? I was there yesterday chatting with the lifeguards. I'll have that and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh my God. Is that ever so good? And it is really great to be with you, and all of your support is so deeply appreciated. When you hit that like button, that helps us a lot. So pound that like button right now. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and tick that little bell. When you tick it, you'll be notified when there's new content. Believe me, we're breaking new content all the time here. You can also follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. We'll see you on all those venues also. Wow, we have got so much to talk to you about. Things are really headed in the right direction. Before we get going, don't forget Ventura Sport Fishing. Man, they have so many great boats up there, and their customer service is at such a high level, and they offer such great fishing on the Californian, the Island Spirit, and of course the Endeavor with my friend Tucker McCombs. 805-676-3474. If you have tax problems or unfiled taxes, get it taken care of with our dear friend Tim Marquez. Give Tim a call today. He's been doing this for 35 years, a trusted, great guy. Check out Tim, and if you have heating and or air conditioning needs, you want to talk to our friend John Lopez at Efficient Heating and Air Conditioning. John's a great guy. All right, let's get into it with you all. I'll remind you all our Apollo trip, 2.5-day trip, June 11th, 2 spaces left. So if you want to grab one or both of those, you better hurry. 657-227-6459. Send me a text. We'll get you on board. Let's start with the Independents, as they are making some rockfish drifts right now as we speak after a really successful trip down below on an 8-day trip. They put several 55-plus pound yellowtail, not yellowfin tuna, yellowtail on the rig. Magnificent big yellows. They were biting the iron, the bait, the yo-yo iron, the surface iron. It was a memorable trip for David Rouse and several other anglers who were on that trip, including Soda Pop, who I believe is there. So really great for the yellowtail. They had good yellowfin tuna fishing, and overall it's just been another dream trip on board the Independence out of Point Loma Sport Fishing in San Diego. I love fishing that rig. We have an 8-day trip coming up in November, and I am really looking forward to that one. That is going to be so much fun. Really good stuff. They're making a few rockfish drifts, and then they're going to kick it for the barn later today and be back into San Diego and then turn around and go do it again. All right, down there in the beautiful coastal town of Ensenada, only a 70-mile beautiful drive to go to Ensenada. I love that drive on the toll road or the free road for that matter. Beautiful view of the Coronado Islands and stopping at a fish taco stand. All of the Baja hospitality, you can't beat it. Down there in Ensenada, we have seen some pretty windy days here recently. And yesterday, the wind for the first day in quite some time backed off and gave us a little bit of a break. Buenos dias, Valentino. So they got a little break down there on the wind. Our dear friend Louis Prieto from It's For Real Sport Fishing. Louis, buenos dias. It's so good to see you, my friend. We were out with Louis probably a month ago, as time flies by so fast. We had such a great time. I mean, the rig is really fast and nice. Louis is such a great guy to fish with. Yesterday, they were trying to get the yellows to bite and everything else. Couldn't make that happen, but man, they had some good sand and calico bass fishing on that rig. And there's Mike. Mike's been on some of our Friedman Adventures charters. It's so good to see Mike fishing with Louis. What a small world it truly is. And they had a lot of fun. No question about it. It was a similar kind of situation to when we were down there. We couldn't get the yellows to bite, but doggone, man, we made it happen on the sand bass. And we had hook sand bass coming up to the It's For Reals boat with 6, 7, 8 other sand bass chasing them up. It was really a lot of fun. So great stuff there on It's For Real Sport Fishing. Some of the guys down there continue to pick off bluefin tuna. It's not an everyday thing, but every other day, or just lacks consistency. Let's put it that way. They're getting this bluefin tuna. A lot of it has been that 20 to 40 pound grade, but there are fish to 200 pounds running around down there. So if you're dragging a Mad Mac lure, I wouldn't be doing it with light tackle. Heavy up. You've got to be ready for those really big fish. Mara Sport Fishing, we've seen bluefin there. We've seen them out of blackfin sport fishing. Several other guys getting a piece of it. Those big bonita are still in the equation down there. You fish the Baja Coast, you can pick off some calico bass, although the water temps this year are remaining cool. We're transitioning into a La Nina, cooler water temperatures, so we're watching that all very, very closely for you in Ensenada and surrounding areas. And of course, you can always fall back on some really good rock fishing down there. All right, let's get into this bluefin tuna situation out of San Diego. Once again, no huge numbers overall. We don't see these huge numbers, but we certainly see some huge fish, including a 235-pound bluefin tuna recently on board the Polaris Supreme. That is one beautiful specimen, and there's a lot of that 150 to 200 plus pound BFT around. Now there's some smaller grade stuff around also. What it lacks is consistency and any kind of a big window at night. You get these small windows where they're biting, and man, you better be Johnny on the spot and get on it to get a bite and get a fish on board. Some of those bites are trying to last a little bit longer, but it's not all that many opportunities in the nighttime fishing or the daytime fishing for that matter either. All right, I want to talk about a guy. Randy Weissman was on board the Tribute for his birthday. I wish Randy a happy birthday, and he goes, Phil, I had a happy birthday, man. Look at this bluefin tuna. And Randy actually snagged this thing, foul hooked it in the side. He said it kicked his butt. And that's exactly what we want to hear, Randy, on your birthday. Nice catch, my friend. Way to go. On board the Tribute, Matthew Jr., also on the Tribute. Look at that young man. What a fantastic catch. Matthew, way to go. That is such a great catch, and it is so good to see that happening. Yesterday, on board the Royal Star, they had one 140-pound bluefin tuna in the daytime, so only one fish. Last night, they went scouting off in a new area, and it didn't pay off. 0 fish, but we need pioneers like that off scouting around and taking a look around. So no fish on the Royal Star last night. XL got into some big fish last night, and I'm talking that 150-pound grade stuff, and had a fairly good bite. Short window, but put several fish on board. Nothing wrong with that. Polaris Supreme back in from a 2-day trip with 23 anglers catching 37 bluefin tuna. 26 of those fish over 100 pounds. So on the one hand, I'm here saying, it's not that great of a bite right now and blah, 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 blah. And then on the other hand, 26 fish over 100 pounds on a 2-day trip. Man, you are crazy if you don't think that is just as good as it gets. That is really wonderful. And they had that 235-pounder on that trip. Intrepid got into a bite last night, and it was darn good on the 30 to 50-pound bluefin tuna, up there near limits on the fish. So a nice hit for the Intrepid, and I'll tell you right now, that looks good to me. I would like to see some more of that grade of fish. They're catchable, for God's sakes. You're not on them for an hour or two trying to land those fish. Still, when you go fishing for this bluefin tuna, you tackle up and you're ready for the big stuff. 100-pound Spectra to 130-pound Spectra. You want 200-pound leader material jigs from 200 grams to 500 grams, colored metered line so you know exactly where your jig is. Captain tells you to drop, you drop to the exact depth that he tells you to, and that will put you in a really good position. So keep that in mind, and we'll continue to monitor this for you very, very closely. Things are looking pretty good. Hey, the Freedom has a 1.5-day trip leaving out of 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California on June the 5th. The first 10 people to sign up get a free dinner. And I'm not talking about just any dinner. I'm talking about Steve Welsh, the galley cook. Excuse me, Steve, the galley chef. Cordon bleu style meals that he will serve you on board the Freedom, along with a whole lot of jokes and a good time. Steve's a great guy, and Steve's telling me, hey, they're going on the 5th of June, and you get a free dinner if you're one of the first 10 to sign up. I highly recommend you do it. They're going to go bluefin tuna fishing, I think. I'm not trying to pinhole them into anything of a sea bass bite or to erupt. They're going to get on that. They're going to go where fishing is best. 22nd Street Landing, the Freedom 1.5-day trip. First 10 get a free meal. 310-832-8304. All right, let's talk about the offshore bite for the full day boats out of San Diego. They keep seeing them. They keep seeing those bluefin tuna, and they keep their little jaws just locked up. They don't want to bite. We had a bite a few days ago. Since that time, we're back to the big bonito, and that's what it was again yesterday on board the San Diego, seeing those big fish. I mean, there's that 40 to 60-pound bluefin around, but they're seeing fish to 100 pounds and over that, which means you have to bring the exact same tackle I just mentioned to you on these trips to be prepared for that really big fish. Of course, you're going to be throwing the iron on those bonito or fishing bait, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they're big, fat bonita and a lot of fun and really good eating. Hopefully that light switch is going to go on. The fact that they are seeing them on a regular basis bodes well for an excellent bite here very, very soon. Yesterday, however, it was straight bonito. We'll keep our eyes on that for you very, very closely. All right, let's talk islands right now. Coronado Island still picking off some yellowtail there at the islands. Those fish have ranged from 8 to 15 pounds with some fish over 20. A lot of fish by fly lining a bait. That's been the best way to get them. But there still are some yo-yo ironfish and some surface ironfish. 25-pound fluorocarbon GT4 fluoro from Pro Marahi. That's a great new fluoro that I know is going to work really well for you, and it's very affordable. So check that out. Really good fishing on that fluoro with a good hot bait. That's the only way to get a bite, is by choosing a good hot bait and changing that little bait regularly. San Clemente Island, a few yellows out there in that neck of the woods. Few calico bass and bonito, mostly rockfish out there in that area. Catalina Island, several boats like the El Patron out of Long Beach for fishing. The Pursuit out of 22nd Street Landing had been over there. They're getting a few more bonita on the Gale Force the other day. They had bonita, 3 yellowtail. They had a little bit more calico bass. The water's trying to warm up, and we've got no wind at all right now. It's gorgeous out, so hopefully that's going to help to get this season going in terms of the surface bite. Plenty of rockfish out there, and that's what a lot of the boys have been focusing on. So keep that in mind. Speaking of the El Patron, they run out of Long Beach sport fishing in beautiful Long Beach, California. And they've got a very special trip coming up, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. trip this weekend. So you're going to want to get on the El Patron. And you can do that by going to www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Make sure you check out the El Patron. All right, continuing on our island quest, Santa Barbara Island, some big white sea bass there, not a lot of them, but some nice big ones. There's a few yellows running around there. Superior rock fishing. Nicholas has got great mix of, sheephead and whitefish and rockfish. And the Channel Islands, great rock fishing up there with some lings, occasional white sea bass up there in that neck of the woods. We've seen the Aloha Spirit with a couple beautiful white sea bass yesterday, along with a couple of barracuda and a nice show on a humpback whale up there also. Really great when you're out in nature and you get to see things like that. That is absolutely gorgeous to see that. Plenty of rockfish for everybody. And of course, I am so looking forward to seeing you on our Island Spirit trip out of Ventura on Friday morning. Be there at 5. I'll bring some pastries down for you. I don't know if anybody's going to be open, but I'm heading to Costco. I'm going to have a pastry for you on that trip while you're waiting so you can bulk up and be strong for our trip. We're going to depart at 6, maybe even a little earlier if everybody's down there, and we're going to head off to the giant rockfish zone and hopefully load up on that and then maybe catch a halibut or two in the afternoon. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Totally sold out. Thanks to all of you. It's going to be a really great trip. I can't wait to see you there. Lots of rockfish up there in that neck of the woods. Let's come back and do the coast now, talking about local trips and the Daily Double down there in San Diego. Really excellent calico bass fishing. Of course, they had some good calico bass fishermen on the boat. And by good calico bass fishermen, I mean they know how to fish a chovy because they have plenty of anchovy for bait, plenty of anchovy, cold water, albacore. They're coming by July 10th. Is that what I said? Yeah. On, what's the name of that show? Tackle Shop Confessions. Getting loopy here this morning. With Sam De La Torre, my prediction was by July 10th, my mom's birthday, there's going to be really good albacore fishing. Back to the calico bass on the Daily Double. Good fishing for some really excellent calico bass anglers. 65-degree water. Clarity-wise, the water's still kind of mucked up as it is here. So we need that to clean up, but I like that consistent 65-degree water. It looks like they'll have anchovy for bait down there on the Daily Double through the weekend, so that is really great stuff. Moving you up the coast, we see just a little bit of bass here and there. It is almost all sculpin, rockfish, whitefish, all the way up to Marina del Rey and beyond. So rather than point everybody out to you and, kind of with the redundancy, I'm just going to make that sweeping comment with a little bit of bass here and there. But no barracuda, nothing like that to speak of. No big numbers of any of those species. We'll continue to watch it for you very, very closely. Again, pretty cool water, starting to warm up, but the water clarity lacks right now. We need this to clean up just a little bit more. But by the way, very active surf zone. I don't know what you've been seeing behind me, but up this way, quite a bit of pelicans. Up this way, surf fishermen are doing their thing, and there's a lot of birds picking at bait here on the surf, so that is a good sign. And I'm going to get into the surf fishing report right now. PromarAhi.com. Put in FA at checkout. Get 10% off gaffs, nets, lobster hoop nets, Promar GT for fluorocarbon. Anything that they have on that website, you'll get 10% off when you put in FA. All right, surf fishing, still catching quite a bit of bar perch. My friend Doug Tikt was up there in the Santa Monica Bay yesterday and had a few bar perch. By the way, stay tuned at the end of this show, the morning briefing. I'm going to run a little segment about the the El Segundo rock jetty. There was an angler, a really great guy, Carlos Gonzalez, and Carlos got kicked off the small little jetty down there. And he was wondering, man, I've been fishing this for 20 years. Am I going to be able to continue fishing this? And the answer will come at the end, because I went over there with my friend Mackie and we checked it out, talked to the lifeguards, and worked that all out. We'll have that for you at the end of the report. So nice barred perch fishing for Doug. Same thing up and down the coast. More and more spot fin croaker being taken. This is a good time of the year for the spot fin. Down here by the water tower, Anderson and Pacific Coast Highway, real close to our friends down there, Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, about 2 miles south of there. You see that big water tower. You can park around there and walk out. You need to fish worms or bait or sand crabs, which you can dig up. There are some sand crabs here in the surf right now. And I'm telling you, spot fins are starting to bite. And these guys down here, a group of Vietnamese anglers who are really good at what they do, and I've learned a lot from them. They fish the low tide and catch them all the time. Not telling you to do that. I still like that 4-hour window, 2 hours before the high tide until 2 hours after the high. But those guys get them on the low, and that's what they're fishing right now, probably doing well. So bait for those fish. Also some yellowfin croaker and still some halibut being taken here. And don't forget, Big Fish Bait and Tackle every single month giving away a beautiful custom rod. It's gorgeous and it's free to enter. You just need to pick up the ruler down there at Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, California. All right, my friends, what can I tell you? Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've got the lifeguard controversy, the podcast of the century, where we go down and confront the lifeguards in El Segundo. They're really, really nice, by the way. So we went and worked that all out. That's all taken care of. Carlos Gonzalez, that is open to you again. Thank you for being such a caballero, a gentleman. Not only a gentleman down there with the lifeguards, which I heard, he was great, but also being patient and letting this just work through. And now we've got it all settled down. All right, my friends, have a great morning. It's always good to spend time with you, and I hope to see you really, really soon. Many of you I will see Friday morning. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, Phil Friedman here in El Segundo with Mackie, and we are here because last night on Tackle Shop Confessions, our live show, a gentleman by the name of Carlos said he was fishing or attempting to fish on that very jetty right there off El Segundo when the lifeguards approached him around 12 noon on Sunday and they told him, no, you cannot fish on jetties anymore. Carlos has been fishing this jetty for 20 years. And he was like, what are you talking about? And the lifeguard said, hey, my boss says there's an ordinance prohibiting fishing on that jetty there behind us. So we're here to go over to the lifeguards and find out more about it because, I mean, access to this is really important, not only to guys like Carlos, but lower income people who can't afford to go on a sport boat. They don't have the money to do that, still want to enjoy the great outdoors. They want to go fishing. They want to take their kids fishing. And here is a place where they can do that. And if the lifeguards are arbitrarily shutting that down, well, that's a reason for concern. If there is, in fact, an ordinance, we're going to find out more about that. So let's head over to the lifeguard place and see if we can dig somebody up that'll give us the scoop on this. Perfect. All right, here's a lifeguard. Let's find out if we can learn a little bit more about this whole thing. How's it going? Hey, good, thank you. Got a question for you. Can you fish the jetties here?
Before I give you the answer as to what this lifeguard said about fishing that jetty out there, I just want to make the point that everybody we came in contact with, including this gentleman, were so nice, so polite, and so helpful. It really made me feel great about the people down there on the beach and the job they are doing. So, what did he have to say? Stay tuned.
All right, Mackie and I feel like we kind of have this whole jetty thing worked out for all of you, and it sounds like maybe a little miscommunication, or maybe the person that told Carlos that he couldn't fish the jetty really wasn't up to speed, because we just talked to Chris Mohagan. He is a lifeguard here, and Chris said, absolutely you can fish the jetties. There's not a problem at all. There are two ordinances, however, that could apply to this. Number one, the ordinance that you can't have your line within 100 yards of swimmers or surfers. So hopefully you'll be able to work that out with the people that are around you. Either move or just, gently say, hey, is there some way we can work this out? You guys, we're catching a bunch of fish here and it's really, really good. So that's number one. And number two, lifeguards have the discretion under dangerous circumstances to tell you, no, you can't go out there on the jetty. It's too dangerous, there's high tides or too much wind, out of concern for your safety, they're able to do that. However, jetties are available for you to fish, Carlos, and for everybody else. And the lifeguards here were absolutely wonderful. Chris was great. We appreciate him. The enforcement officer that we saw when we first came in here was like, hey man, I hope they're not closed because I fish here all the time. So there it is, problem solved. Mackie, thanks for coming along. And I think now we have an answer for you. The jetties, you can fish them. There's no ordinance that would prohibit that other than the two I mentioned. Of course, you must have your California fishing license. For Friedman Adventures, Phil Friedman reporting from El Segundo, California.
Lifeguard training, this is Pat.
Hey, I'm looking for the PIO.
Stand by. I can take a message for you.
Okay.
This was his number, and then he moved. So, may I ask who's calling, please?
Yeah, this is Philip Friedman. I do a podcast called Friedman Adventures.
Okay.
And you want me to give you the story here real quick? I'll just give you a quick story. There was a guy named Carlos who called into our live show last night, and he said the lifeguard said that the jetties are no longer available for fishing. There's an ordinance that has shut the jetties down for fishing. So we just came over here and we interviewed a lifeguard, or spoke with a lifeguard named Chris Mohagan. Super nice, super informative. Really, really a pleasure to talk to him. And he said, well, I don't know who told him that, but that's not true. There's an ordinance that prohibits you from fishing within 100 yards of swimmers and surfers. And there's another ordinance which gives the lifeguard the authority to say, hey, it's too dangerous to go out there. Other than that, you're good to go. So I just wanted to bounce that off the PIO and see if that all sounds good. I don't want to get anybody screwed up, and I don't want to give out any bad information out there. So that's basically my story.
Yep. So I'm not an official PIO, but that's the right of it. There is no ordinance that states that we can prohibit people from going onto jetties.
Yes.
Now, if this is large, we may prevent them just for their own safety.
Yes.
And then the 100 feet rule is a ordinance for fishing, just so that fishers and surfers or swimmers don't entangle with themselves.
Correct.
But yeah, there's nothing that states that people can't go on rocks and jetties.
All right. Well, once again, another nice person helping us. I really, really appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, no worries. What was your podcast? I'll check it out. It's Friedman Adventures?
Yeah, and it's spelled Friedman, Friedman, Friedman Adventures on YouTube.
Okay, cool. Well, right on. Well, thanks for calling. I appreciate you getting your story straight. Sorry about that misinformation. That's not our intent. So, yeah, hopefully you have a better experience next time with the lifeguards. But, yeah, no worries on the jetties. Hope you guys have fun, unless it's, like, totally macking surf. Yeah, it's all fair game.
Oh, thank you for your kindness. I really appreciate you.
Okay, have a great day.
You too.